is up, everybody? We are back here at King Film Sports for the NFL Week 18 Playoff Picture analysis. That is right, everyone. We are down to the final week of NFL action, and we will get to my analysis of the current playoff picture in both the NFC and AFC, and then to my predictions for what will happen this last week, as well as all of the wild scenarios that can transpire. I will be explaining how every team can make it to their highest possible seed, how teams like the Steelers and Dolphins can make the wild card, or the Bengals and Niners can get the number 1 seed. First, though, I must remind you guys to like and subscribe to support the channel and help the algorithm out in 2023. Now, here we get to the AFC Playoff Picture, where a lot is riding on that Bills-Bengals game. As you guys know, Damar Hamlin went down in the first quarter, and it was postponed at 7-3 Bengals. Obviously, my primary concern is with the health and safety of Damar Hamlin, and prayers are up for his family there. Wish him all the best, that he gets better there. But they will have to play that game at some point. Will be interesting to see what the NFL does in that one. And that one, as we've discussed on the channel, has major playoff picture ramifications. If the Bills were to win that game, they would vault the Chiefs for the number 1 seed. If the Bengals would win that game, they would get to the 2 seed, pushing the Bills down to the 3. So a big result there that has yet to be resolved. So for the time being, the Chiefs are 13-3 with their win against the Broncos. The Jaguars get a blowout win against the Texans, and now not only can they clinch the playoffs and the division title with a win on Saturday against the Titans, they can actually sneak their way in the back door, getting the 7 seed in the wild card if some things go their way. I'll be explaining that later in the video. The Chargers already clinched their playoff berth last week, but they get another win this week against the Rams, pushing them all the way up to the 5 seed at 10-6. They can retain that with a win this week. And then the Ravens at 10-6, tough loss against the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. But if the Bengals lose against the Bills, then that Bengals-Ravens game in Week 18 will be an AFC North Championship scenario. So if the Ravens can win that, they will jump up to the 3 seed. And now the Patriots are in the 7 seed with their big win against Miami at home. All they have to do to lock up their playoff berth will be winning against Buffalo in Week 18. And then you have the In the Hunt graphic. Miami falls out of the playoffs after being 8-3, now to 8-8, and it's looking like Tua will not be playing in that Week 18 game, nor will Teddy Bridgewater, so it's likely going to be Skylar Thompson. They need to beat the Jets at home and hope that the Patriots lose there. So still in it, but boy, have their playoff hopes taken a dump. And then the Steelers have resurrected from the dead, a few great wins in a row, and they are now at 8-8. They're playing the Browns this week. If they win that and get some help, they will be in. And then the Titans at 7-9, as we already discussed. They have lost 6 straight games, but if they beat the Jags in Week 18, then they will be the 4th seed and have a home playoff game there. Then we get to the NFC playoff picture, where things are getting wild up top. The Eagles have lost 2 straight games. Not only have they not clinched the 1 seed, they have not clinched the NFC East just yet. They are playing against the Giants this upcoming week, who appear to be resting their players, so the Eagles are a 14-point favorite, but who knows? All the Eagles have to do to clinch the NFC East, and the number 1 seed will be winning at home there. Then you've got the Niners, who jump up to the 2 seed with their win and the Vikings loss, so all the Niners have to do to hold on to the 2 seed will just be winning in Week 18 against the Cardinals. The Vikings then drop down to the 3 seed at 12-4 with their blowout loss to the Packers. They cannot get up to the 1 seed anymore, but they can get up to the 2 with their win and a Niners loss. Then you have the Bucs at the 4 seed, who got a massive win and clinched the NFC South, so they can rest their players in Week 18 against the Falcons, knowing that it does not matter for their playoff seeding. Then you've got the 5 seed Cowboys, who got the win on Thursday night against the Titans. If they win and the Eagles lose, they can get the NFC East crown. Also, if the Niners lose, they can get the 1 seed there. So they're playing for a lot against the Commanders in Week 18. Then you've got the Giants, who are locked in at the 6 seed with their win against the Colts. And then the Seahawks are now in the playoffs at 8-8 with their big win against the Jets. And in the Hunt graphic, you've got the Lions and Packers at 8-8. So this is the graphic that shows the NFC wildcard scenarios. You can see the probability of all these teams making the playoffs. So the Seahawks need a win against the Rams and a Green Bay loss. The Lions need a win at Green Bay and a Seattle loss. And the Packers is the most simple. All they have to do to clinch the playoffs is the win against Detroit at home. So they are the odds-on favorite currently to make the playoffs there. So here are my official playoff predictions heading into the final week of the season. And Obviously, there is a lot of uncertainty regarding that Bengals-Bills game at the moment. I picked the Bengals to win that game, so I am assuming that they will win that game for this prediction. So we get to my Week 18 results. I have the Chiefs retaining the 1 seed with their win in Las Vegas there. Then I have the Bengals beating the Ravens, locking up the number 2 seed. The Bills beat the Patriots at home, getting the 3 seed. And then in that AFC South championship game, I've got the Jags blowing out the Titans. Then I've got the Chargers staying at the 5 seed with their win against the Broncos. The Ravens lose against the Bengals, so they are at the 6. And then for the 7th seed, I have the Patriots, as I mentioned, losing to the Bills. And then I've got the Dolphins beating the Jets, so the Dolphins get in at 9 and 8 there. Then we get to the NFC, where I have the Eagles locking up the number 1 seed at home against the resting Giants team. Then at the number 2 seed, I've got the Niners beating the Cardinals at home there. I've got the Vikings winning in Chicago. Then the Bucks are locked in at the 4 seed, so it does not matter what they do this week. I've got them losing at the Falcons. Then the 5 seed, I've got Dallas winning against the Commanders, but obviously the result doesn't matter because the Eagles win. Then the Giants, as I mentioned, lose to the Eagles. And for that 7th seed, I have the Seahawks beating the Rams and the Lions upsetting the Packers in Green Bay. So I've got Seattle getting in at 9 and 8. So those are my official playoff predictions. And before I get to the other wild scenarios that can transpire, I must urge you all to please check out the Discord that we have for our free picking service. It will be free for the next 3 weeks. We will be giving out plays on the NFL and daily plays on things like NBA and NCAA men's basketball. So if you want to check those out, the Discord will be listed as the first link in the description. So I advise you all to check it out. Then we get to some of the wild scenarios. So first here, I'll be showing that the Bills can get the number 1 seed. So if they win in that postponed game against the Bengals, and then they win next week against the Patriots, that's all that has to happen for them to get the number 1 seed there. Pretty simple. Then we get to the next scenario, which is the Bengals getting the number 1 seed. What they need to happen is a win against Buffalo in that postponed game. Then they need to beat the Ravens in Week 18 and then have the Chiefs lose as well in Week 18. If those things happen, then the Bengals are 13-4 and the number 1 seed there. Then the Titans winning the division. As I mentioned, it's the division championship game in the AFC South. If they can pull off the upset against the Jags in Jacksonville, they will be 8-9 and get the home playoff game there. As I mentioned, the Jacksonville Jaguars can sneak in even if they lose. This one is a bit convoluted because they need some help. But if they lose and the Patriots lose to the Bills, the Jets beat the Dolphins, and the Steelers lose to the Browns, the Jags will win out on the tiebreakers and get in at 8-9 there. It will be very tricky and much better for them if they win against the Titans, but still can sneak into the wild card there. Then next, I'm showing you how the Patriots can get in the wild card, and all they need to do is win in Buffalo. It will be a difficult task, but it is possible for them to do that there. Get to 9 and 8. Then the Steelers getting to the playoffs, what they will need to happen is the Patriots to lose in Buffalo, the Miami Dolphins lose at home against the New York Jets, and then if they beat Cleveland at home, they will get in at 9 and 8. Then lastly, we show how the Ravens can win the AFC North title. As I mentioned earlier, they have to have the Bengals lose this game against the Bills in Week 17, and then they will have to beat the Bengals in the AFC North championship game in Week 18. And if those things happen, the Ravens get up to the 3 seed, and the Bengals actually slide all the way down to the 6 seed there. So very interesting scenario if that one happens. Now we get to the NFC Wild Scenarios, and in this first one, the Niners claim the number 1 seed with their win against Arizona, and the Eagles loss against the Giants. Then we get to how the Cowboys can get up to the number 1 seed. So it's basically the same scenario, except the Niners lose against the Cardinals. Very unlikely, but it can happen for Dallas to get the number 1 seed. Now we show how the Packers can make the playoffs, and as I mentioned earlier, all they got to do is win that Sunday night game against the Lions, and they will get the 7th seed at 9 and 8 there. Then lastly, we show how the Lions can make the playoffs. They need the Rams to pull off the upset in Seattle, which is unlikely, and then pull off the upset themselves in Green Bay. But it is possible, and if that happens, then the Lions will get in the playoffs at 9 and 8. So that is my playoff picture analysis, predictions, and an illustration of some wild scenarios that can happen in this final week of the NFL season, and some change because we do not know what will happen in that Bills-Bengals game. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about the current playoff picture and what will happen in Week 18. Do you agree with my predictions or not? As always, be sure to like and subscribe. Also, check out the Discord, link in description, and I will see you all in the next one.